So pit lane action going fairly quickly, but it did look as though there was a problem there, as we say, for the Chip Ganassi team. Quite see exactly what happened, but back out with Maurizio Gugelmin, and Gugelmin comes back out in fourth position as the car of Raul Boesel is pushed away down the pit lane. Franchitti is the leader under a yellow flag, and there's Brian Herta's car being pushed away, or towed away at the moment.
Curious, we don't know what happened to those two.
Sounds as though we might get a chance to talk to Brian in just a moment and find out exactly what's happened.
Let's find out about Brian Herta. You jumped out of there in a hurry. What happened?
Well, the car was on fire. I was getting a lot of... It wasn't the engine. It was something in the front of the car, electronics or something. It was burning plastic. I was getting some fumes in there. So I just wanted to get out and get some clean air. And then I ran down here because, you know, we've got telemetry in the cars. I was hoping they saw something. Maybe we could make a quick change and get out. We maybe would have only lost a lap or two. I got down here. They said it's done for the day. So it's disappointing because you know, Shell is a big sponsor of the race here. We wanted to do a good job for them, but you know, we'll go back to Milwaukee next week.
Okay, thank you, Brian. And by the way, guys, he ran it for 4 laps that way. Marty?
So Brian Herta, that explains what went wrong to him, but we still haven't fully gathered what happened to Raul Boesel.
No, there is Raul's car. They're certainly trying to see what there is the matter there. Very curious run of events there. We'll get this thing straightened out for you. I think that thing with Jimmy Vassar's crew, that was one of his, I think his refueling guy that we were looking at there in the pits with the helmet on. Same sort of helmet as Jimmy Vassar, of course. Jimmy is still in the race. He is in second place. But obviously some sort of drama there in that pit stop. And they're just having a look at that crew guy down on the pit road.
Well, Raul Boesel has got back out into this race, and it looks almost as though it was simply out of fuel or something, but I don't quite know how that could be possible, bearing in mind that he made a stop earlier on. In fact, he made it later than most of the others, so unless they didn't get the fuel in the car properly, and that was what happened, he simply ran out of fuel at that point. It does seem strange, but the car's running perfectly as he's gone back out onto the circuit.
As we see the signal for 1 lap to go here. Here we have a look at the pit stop of the 2 Target Chip Ganassi cars there.
The Vassar car is ahead, yes, it was the fuel guy, you're right, Jeremy. He got caught by the left rear wheel of Jimmy Vassar as he pulled away, and a nasty looking incident there, particularly when you've got the hold of the fuel hose as well. But basically, thankfully, he's okay. A bit shaken, I think, after getting the knock, but Jimmy Vassar's crew guy surviving that incident. Always possible, of course. The pit lane is always a dangerous place to be, and these guys, they get the signal to go from the guy up front, and they go. They can't look behind them. They don't know that there's still a guy there.
Meanwhile, as we get ready for the green, Paul Tracy went to the front of the pack when the other guys made their pit stops. He's able to cycle around now, rejoin the back of the pack on the lead lap as Dario Franchitti comes to pass the lead with a huge lead at the restart, with Hiro Matsushita holding up the second place car of Jimmy Vassar.
Dario Franchitti then leads a PPG Kart Series race in his first season, only his 6th race of the championship. What a fantastic performance. It might be partly down to the strategy, but you have to say that he's been running competitively here so far today. Good battles going on further back. Scott Pruitt trying to get past Maurizio Gugelmin. That's the battle for 5th place, and in fact he's gone through. So Pruitt once again, keep an eye on him, 2nd in the championship, put in a lot of good races over the last couple of events, or in fact since the beginning of the season. And now he looks good here as well. Parker Johnston, Bobby Rahal, 7th and 8th, with Gilles de Ferran right behind them. So this is another good battle going on as Franchitti leads and Jimmy Vassar is in 2nd place. Interesting that. Jimmy Vassar in 2nd after the pit stops, with Greg Moore in 3rd. And Greg Moore, of course, was leading things as we went to that yellow flag. Meanwhile, further back, Alonso Jr. and Patrick Carpentier are doing battle, and that's for 10th place. Alonso Jr. now looking for the inside, coming into turn 1. Carpentier is not having any of that. He turns in quite clear of Alonso Jr.'s Penske.
25.3 Dario Franchitti's last lap there. Sure, he's on a light load of fuel. I think that's probably the fastest lap of the race so far. Fantastic. Dario Franchitti, 3.5 seconds ahead the last time around. Flashes past again here to complete lap 84. 3.7 seconds to lead lap time. Pulling away from Jimmy Vassar. Both of them have clear track. Great effort by Dario.
It is superb stuff, isn't it? I mean, how quickly he's managed to adapt to driving on the oval tracks. It's absolutely incredible. Such a different art, and yet there he is leading this race, and as you say, Jeremy, pulling away. There he goes in the Hogan car. The Hogan team not based here yet in St. Louis, but they will be, because Carl Hogan has his trucking empire based here. So Carl Hogan is a native of St. Louis, and he must be just over the moon to see his man leading this race. They've developed such a good relationship already, these two. Hogan, the experienced team owner who's been at it for years and years and has run some of the top racing drivers in the world, has teamed up so well with Dario Franchitti. They've hit it off together, and the relationship is just showing here in the way that Franchitti is leading this race. Further back, Gilles de Ferran in the Valvoline car, under pressure from Patrick Carpentier in the Alimax car, and this the battle for 9th place.
4 25.3s in a row there for Dario Franchitti, 25.3 seconds a lap time. That's 4 in a row, pulling away 0.4 of a second per lap over Jimmy Vasser, and he's really leaving him in his wake, isn't he, this early in the race then? A long way to go, of course, though, yet.
A superb effort, absolutely, yes. We've still got 149 laps to go, so it is a long way to go. But Franchitti up front at the moment. Don't forget, he didn't stop on that last round of pit stops. He could do with a yellow flag coming up fairly soon, just to make sure that he doesn't lose too much position. As meanwhile, just looking down the order, as you're watching the battle for 7th, 8th, 9th places, Gilles de Ferran up there as well. And Bobby Rahal in 8th position. De Ferran 9th, Carpentier in 10th place. And just to let you know, with the weather, the cloud still looks much the same. No sign of rain yet, and we've got about 30 laps to go to the halfway point, which is an important point, because once they've got to halfway, even if it does rain, the race will be called as a result. They won't try and rerun the rest of the race. So that's an important one. The teams will be keeping an eye on that as well. 30 laps to go to the halfway point. On board with Gilles de Ferran now, as he runs very, very competitively, just inside the top 10 in 9th place.
Raoul Boisel, incidentally, is back in the race. He's 7 laps down, off the, well off the leaderboard right now, but their crew was able to get that car going again. So that's good news for Raoul Boisel. Bad news, of course, he won't be able to win the race from there.
A little bit of news that has been a few bits and pieces out on the track that's been getting into the radiators of 1 or 2 of the cars. So that's causing 1 or 2 little scares in terms of the cooling, because it's still pretty warm out there at the moment. Alonso Jr. closing up to the back of this group. He's running in 11th place. Still interesting to see that Michael Andretti is some way behind this group in 13th position, and he really has not been on the pace here all afternoon. It's a great surprise to me, I have to say. Rio, he wasn't particularly on the pace, but he seemed to have engine problems all day there, whereas here the car seems to be running okay as far as we can tell from here, but he's just not running quickly, and he's there down in 13th place. Interestingly enough, behind him now in 14th place is Paul Tracy, who had to stop under green flag. He's now in 14th, and I guess we just have to wait to see whether he can make any progress from back there. But just looking around there, Tracy's just got past Andretti. Tracy's now 13th, Andretti's back to 14th.
Long way for Paul Tracy to go, but you know this race is a long way from over. He's already moved up half a dozen positions after the, 4 or 5 positions since that last caution. Plenty of time for him to get back on the pace. It's all going to come down really now to fuel strategy. How many more pit stops do they need to make? Most people probably manage to make 1 more pit stop at least, and we'll try and keep an eye on that way. It's going to be tough to do, but we'll see what we can do to keep an eye on the strategies as they play out.
So Franchitti, top speed there, 185 miles an hour onto the front straight. Vasser just a fraction faster, but there's still a 4.7 second gap between Franchitti and Vasser at the moment. So Franchitti doing a superb job with 93 laps completed. Greg Moore still in 3rd place. You're looking at Bobby Rahal at the moment in 7th. But Gilles de Ferran still having a little look to get past the experienced former champion who had such a good run in Brazil last time out. De Ferran, he's running consistently at the moment, very competitively, but not really making much progress up through the field. And still this quartet of cars, they've been racing together now for quite a few laps, so there doesn't seem to be much change within the positions here. Franchitti up front, 4.7 seconds to Vasser, Greg Moore behind him, Zanardi in 4th, Scott Pruitt in 5th place, and then Maurizio Gugelmin in 6th position. Things settling down a little bit now, and what we've got to look for really is when Franchitti will make his next fuel stop. He hasn't made a second stop, whereas a lot of the guys have, so surely he's going to have to come in fairly soon. And there he is. In fact, as I speak, Franchitti has to come in. It's under green flag, and this is going to knock him back a little bit like it's knocked Paul Tracy back. Tracy's down in 12th place after leading the race earlier on, and now Carl Hogan's team will maybe kicking themselves that they didn't take advantage of that last yellow flag to make the pit stop. Let's just keep an eye on this one, see how quickly the team can go to work. Tyres going on, and the fuel bits, the fuel that takes the time, the methanol going in and eventually 13.4 seconds. That's a pretty average sort of stop, a good average stop for the Franchitti and the Hogan team. But of course that brings him back out over a lap down from Jimmy Vasser, who now takes over the lead of this race. But a great effort there from Franchitti. A little bit caught out by the yellow and green flags perhaps, but again, a long way to go. The car's working brilliantly well. Dario's driving brilliantly well. There could still be a good chance of him getting into the top 6 by the end of the race. What it means now, though, is that Jimmy Vasser leads, with Greg Moore just half a second behind. There he is. They're bearing down on slow traffic once again, and Zanardi is running in 3rd place. Pruitt is 4th, Guterman 5th, and Johnston is in 6th place. Stay with us here for the Motorola 300. Welcome back to Gateway, and Bobby Rahal's just had some drama. He suffered a fire, and well, it looks as though he's managed to get out of the car, and it looks as though he's all right. The car safety team looking after him. He's got the flame-proof overalls rolled down. It looks as though he obviously did feel the effects of that heat fairly seriously. We'd just gone yellow as well with another engine failure for Dan Gurney's team, as PJ Jones's car is out of the race, but Bobby Rahal then suffering this very nasty-looking conflagration.
Yeah, I think PJ actually was able to get that car out of the way. He pulled it offline well before. He did a good job, as he did in Rio, actually, right before the end of the race there. He was able to get that car out of the way before there was a need to go the yellow. Actually, the yellow was for Bobby Rahal's car, who pulled off just a lap or so later on the exit there of turn 2. So good on Bobby there. No singed hair, I don't think, for Bobby. Do you think?
There's not much hair to singe, is there? But Bobby is out of this race, and that's a bit of a shame for him after doing so well in Rio last weekend. And now, what's that you're looking at, Jeremy? Yes, we're looking at the window of the commentary box window here at Gateway, and there's rain. There's droplets of water on our commentary box window. This is seriously bad news. How far away are we from half distance? We're about
12 laps.
12 laps away, 12 laps away from half distance, and there you can see the droplets for yourself. There is rain falling here at Gateway. Now then, what do you think they'll do? Will they try and run this under yellow for 12 laps or so, just to make sure that they at least have got a race? Or,
yeah, I'm sure they will. I mean, certainly it's not serious rain yet. There's no reason to bring the cars in from the racetrack, so they will continue to run around the yellow, certainly while they clear up Bobby Rahal's car, assuming there's nothing more serious than it is now. Hopefully, we're looking out the back of the booth here, and it doesn't look too bad. It's sort of fairly high clouds. I think there's maybe just a little passing bit of drizzle right now. With a bit of luck, that'll blow past, and by the time we've got Bobby Rahal's car out of the way, we'll be able to go racing again.
Well, let's hope so. Let's hope we don't get this rain coming down and stopping the race. I can't see too many umbrellas around on the grandstand, I have to say, but then I don't know whether anybody brought umbrellas here today, because they probably thought, oh, you did, Jeremy. Well, that's very good thinking, actually. Well done. But at the moment, just looking around the track and up on top of the hospitality suites down here at turns 1 and 2 as well. No umbrellas up there. The flags are blowing pretty hard in the breeze. There is a fairly stiff breeze. That's probably good for us, actually, because it probably blows this very light rain sort of over at the top of the track. Doesn't really make the track wet at all, and we should therefore be able to get things underway again. There you can see that that breeze blowing quite hard, as I say. That's grandstand just off to our left-hand side, coming down this start-finish straight, and watching the leaders come around. Jimmy Vasser it is who leads the competitors. Greg Moore second, Zanardi third, Pruitt in fourth, Guterman is fifth, Johnston sixth, and Dario Franchitti's now dropped down to 16th position, having stopped under the green flag. And I tell you, I bet he's a little bit sad, shall we say, that yellow flag for Bobby Rahal didn't come out a few laps earlier. That really would have helped his cause. Gateway International Raceway, we've gone green flag once again, and the racing is underway as Jimmy Vasser leads. 113 laps completed, just 5 laps away from the halfway point. But that little bit of rain that we saw a moment ago doesn't seem to be developing into anything, thankfully. And just a few little drops in the air more than anything else. But rain is certainly on its way here at some point this afternoon. The two Penskes are doing battle. Alonso Jr. is running 7th with Paul Tracy right behind him. But it could be that 7th place is going the way of Tracy side by side. Fantastic wheel-to-wheel racing through turns 1 and 2. They're still side by side as they come out of the turn. Alonso Jr. does not want to give way to Paul Tracy. Tracy now has the inside line for turn 3. And this time, Alonso Jr. has to give way to Paul Tracy. But What a fantastic battle between the two of them. And it just shows you that they're out for their own position here. It's not about team orders. In fact, Alonso Jr. is having another little look as they come into turn one. But Tracy takes the speed into the corner very quick into turn one.